Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the show. I know you didn't go anywhere. You just turned on or hit a video link, or maybe you're listening to my first podcast. Welcome to the Jeff Hilliard Show. Coming from the house of Hilliard, basically Lucifer's, just south of Lucifer's asshole and like just north of his private parts in West Hollywood, California. Is where we're at. Big, exciting show. No idea what I'm doing. This is a show that nobody asked for. No one was requesting the Jeff Hilliard Show, but you're going to get it. That's what we're doing, a weekly show of just some lunatic ranting and raving about God knows what. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't have anything prepared. This is an exercise in an attempt to, I've been working on this for a long time. I was trying to come up with the perfect midlife crisis, and I've been working on this for a couple years. It's been challenging since the entire world is in a state of crisis. So, I really got to step it up because no one gives a shit about a crisis when everybody else is in a crisis, So I also want to help out other people that might be in your 30s and you're thinking like you only get one shot at a midlife crisis, and you don't want to fuck it up. You know what I mean? You want to nail it, and the way to nail something is if you were to plan for it, you're to think about it, and this is something you could start thinking as early as in your 20s. How could I, have a midlife crisis, and how am I going to nail it? And it's a lot to think about. And so typically, just so people know about the world of the midlife crisis, like when I was a kid, I was that would have been like the baby boomers would have been having their midlife crisis, and they had the typical. It's like the guy you always want to go back to your youth because you realize that you're going to die soon, and you didn't really maybe live out your whole life mission. You did something. You did probably what you were supposed to do, and now you have this wife that you wish you probably didn't have, and you have these terrible, ungrateful kids. You have this horrible career that you could give a shit about, and you're basically trying not to blow your head off, but still showing up for stuff. Like maybe you got into some weird hobby, So a lot of times the midlife crisis for these guys, they would get like the sports car. This was a stereotypical midlife crisis, the baby boomer. They would get the motorcycle, they'd get a divorce from their wife, they'd get like a 20-year-old girlfriend. It's pretty boring. Now, I'm from Generation X, which is the middle child that no one gives a shit about. It's about the baby boomers and the millennials. And X is like, whatever, And it's this is the generation, it was the first one that was told that they're not going to do as well as their parents. And you're not going to, there's no jobs and stuff, which the millennials kind of taken over that spot. But the funny thing about the Gen X, not that anyone cares, but maybe you are a Gen Xer, or maybe your parents are. And wait, there should be an age limit on this. You know how they have age limits, like you have to be 18 to see a movie? I think you should have like, they should broaden that to be like, if you need to be 35 or older, because you might get easily offended, and then your whole world's a crisis because it's a generational thing, where things are very sensitive in the world today. And look, I grew up as a kid. When I was in first grade, I failed first grade. When I got to second grade, I was put in special ed. I've been gifted my entire fucking life, okay? I know some of you think you're special, but you're not. I have been special for a long time. I was in the special needs, special ed. I have chronic anxiety, chronic depression. I was labeled like, I guess, a dyslexia, but they didn't know that until my adult life. Also, attention deficit disorder. I also diagnosed, I know a lot of people say they have PTSD, but they have, maybe because you went through a difficult, stressful life situation, doesn't mean you had the same experience as like a guy that was in the Iraq war who his buddy got blown up. That's probably not the same as if maybe you had like a girlfriend that you're going to go to prom with, and she came in and saw you working at like a fast food restaurant with all of her friends, and you didn't tell anybody you had that job, and now you're embarrassed. That isn't the same thing. I know that you feel that as PTSD. That is just a stressful, unfortunate situation. So the point being, if you are either offended by anything I'm saying, I am not someone you could cancel or criticize because you're punching down. Because I am mentally ill. I've spent my entire life with suicide ideation. At any moment I was going to blow my head off. So fucking back off, okay? Whoa. That's today's society. Because when I was a young whippersnapper, if there was something wrong with you, you don't tell anybody. You fucking hold that into the close to the chest. But as a midlife crisis, if you want to understand this, you need to try to regress. You need to try to get into, relate to the youth, the young whippersnappers. That's part of the whole, the trying to relive your youth. I also have had a lot of frontal lobe damage. When I was a kid, this is good. This is true. I was dropped so hard on my head that my mother thought I was dead. So this has caused me a lot of problems throughout my life. I have impulse control. I'm also I'm sober, but I'm also an alcoholic and a drug addict. So I am basically I should be out on the street right now with screaming and yelling with a shopping cart, and that's not because of the pandemic. That's just because of my mental disabilities and my unfortunate life circumstances and situation. I am doing better than all of you because I'm not a loser. That's what you do now in today's society. You have to. Donald Trump has taught us. You just constantly tell people that you're a genius, that you're it's just this over the top. And no, I don't think you're a loser. If you're listening to this, I'm so honored that anyone would even listen to this. I know that there's only 3 other people that might actually be listening or watching this, which is really exciting. I mean, the show that no one asked for. It's not easy, in a world where everyone is the self-indulgence of look at me. It's a lot to take in. I don't have enough narcissism to really get to own this as I should. I'm working on it. That's part of my midlife crisis strategy program that I'm implementing is this. Oh, I also, as part of the disclaimer, because of the frontal lobe damage and all that I had and the trauma I went through, sometimes I don't pronounce words correctly, okay? So you don't need to attack me and let me know that I'm not announcing words. You're dealing with someone who should be out on the street with a shopping cart screaming at people, okay? So fucking calm down. People are, there's an army of people that are attacking me. Yeah, what's going on? So part of, you're probably watching this and wondering if you did see this or you hear this, you're like, this guy's got a mullet. What the hell happened? That's part of the midlife crisis strategy. Hold on one second. All this ranting and yelling. Okay, we're talking about midlife crisis and how I got here. This is what I've been reduced to, folks. If you know me, if you know anything about me, I do these satirical characters. I'll do a song from the character's point of view, then I'll make these crazy music videos. That's what I'm passionate about. I do this as part of a way not to blow my head off. It keeps me excited about life. I focus on a creative project, and then I work on stuff. And then I've worked as I used to be a stand-up comedian a lifetime ago, which I don't need to get into all that. Who gives a shit? So part of the comedic arts is a world I've dabbled in, and sometimes I get to work as an actor, where I get paid to say other people's lines with other, it's pretty amazing when that happens. I love doing that. I moved to Los Angeles in 1998 to play pathetic, odd, weird, strange, to be a character actor. What has happened is I've become a pathetic, odd, weird, strange character in real life. So it hasn't always worked out like I hoped it would, but I have worked in some movies and I've worked as an actor, which is impossible to do if you're trying to do that. It's not going to work out. But now it could work out if you fit into the demographics that they're looking for, to make something happen. I was going on tangents, and I will get lost in the middle of thoughts because I don't know what I'm doing at any given moment. So the mullet. So part of my midlife crisis was if anyone's out there wondering how did I get into the world of the mullet lifestyle, which I'm sure is a pressing question that I would definitely be wondering myself, like something I'd be like, why does that guy have a mullet? Like, no one gives a shit. I mean, but we're acting like as if they do. That's part of this embracing narcissism. You just assume that everyone gives a shit about what's going on in your life. That's you just know. Like, I'm always amazed at people's self-confidence, where they're just going on about whatever the hell, posting things about what they're doing, their thoughts, their opinions, and I never came from a place that my opinion mattered and anyone ever wanted to care about it. So I'm always so blown away with the people's need to express themselves and their opinions about things, because I knew at a really young age that I'm not very intelligent and I have no idea what's going on. So I spent my entire life trying to witness and listen to other people that were way more intelligent and still no idea what's going on. And especially in today's world of insanity, the end of times, which is kind of exciting. Because, I mean, we just watch all these like public freak out videos of people losing their mind. If someone would have told me when I was a kid, like, you're going to live through possibly the end of times apocalypse, but it's going to be great because everyone's going to have a video camera and people are going to videotape it and live stream it. And I love it. I've been a fan of people losing their shit my whole life. If there was a fight going on in school, I would be the front and center. I'm a big fan of spectacle. I participated in a lot of spectacle. I've lived life as like a cartoon character, just doing nonsense to make myself and my friends laugh by being a real life jackass. It's just been a wonderful way to go through life. And if you take yourself seriously and you don't have a sense of humor about yourself, you're the problem. You're the reason that everything is awful, is because you exist in this world. Because everything's personal. But it's not. The joke is, you're the joke. No one gives a shit. No one cares about your sexual preference. No one cares of what your thing is. No one does care unless you're forced to care. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're working for the person or you're fucking the person, no one cares. I know it from my whole life. No one gives a shit about what I'm doing. That's why I have to have all of this nonsense going on to try so hard. That's what you do when you feel inadequate. Everything is over the top. People are listening to this and they'd be like, what the fuck is this? It's exactly where you want to be. It's like a train wreck that just keeps happening. It's like a slow motion car accident that just keeps running into something, and then it gets out and the guy gets knocked over by someone else, another car comes through. It's just, there's so many crashes. That's what we're hoping for here. It's just full on, what the fuck is this? That's the world of podcasting. So what I'm doing, because I have a bunch more songs, if you pay attention to that stuff, I want to make more music videos and more songs, but I have to have an audience. I gotta in order for me to really, I like doing it, and I appreciate all the people that watch my videos, leave the comments, and the nice things you've said to me and whatever. I'm not the best business person. I don't really know how to make money at doing this stuff that normal people seem to know how to do. But part of the strategy is now I have to have this big social media following.
Micro-influencer.
It's a micro, whatever the fuck that. Yeah, micro-influencer. I'm a mini micro-influencer. Influencing no one. So, in order for me to do this, it's like a multi-level network marketing opportunity. You need to bring in, let's say if you're into this, your responsibility is you got to recruit 10 of your friends to also be into this, and then they got to get 10 of their friends. Now, if you're able to get all of this huge, audience, then I can make more nonsense. And it's really important because you don't want a guy like me on the street screaming and yelling. It just doesn't look good. There's too many people out there anyway. It's too competitive. It's like living in fucking Armageddon. And I figured the perfect time right now to try to panhandle online is when we're going through probably the worst economic crisis ever in the history of the world. So that, to me, because I'm really good at timing things, now is the perfect time to try to do a show where I'm going to ask people to sign up to a Patreon account where they're going to give me money every single month. Now, most of you are probably thinking, that's probably the most idiotic strategy ever. But hear me out, folks. Let's talk about this midlife crisis. Because you know the highest suicide rate? A lot of people don't know this. The highest suicide rate is white men. Middle-aged white men. 69.67%. That was the latest study in 2018. That is dude. If you're a middle-aged white man, there's a strong possibility you could kill yourself, which I don't think you should do. Call the suicide hotline. It's never an answer. It's never a solution. However, if you've exhausted all your resources and you're determined to do it, there's something you should do before you do that. You should liquidate all of your assets, maybe even sell everything, and then you want to give that money to a fellow like me that's going to help other people that are trying to figure out how to get through their midlife crisis. That's really important. Mm-hmm. So that's my strategy here, is that to help people that are pretty much over this whole life experience, is to send and sell all of your stuff, because fuck giving it to your ungrateful kids and family, friends and family. Give it to some, and then let them know you're giving it to this guy named Jeff Hilliard that lives right below Lucifer's asshole and just north of his private parts. Did you know Lucifer is an hermaphrodite? It's got both parts, both sexual organs, which makes sense.
Of course.
They've just figured that out.
Is Lucifer an alien?
We're good into aliens. Yeah, I definitely am into aliens. I went through a fucking deep dive in the alien world. I'll get into that one of these shows. Alright, folks, we're talking about mullets. I never got into the mullet. There is about in 2015, I think it was 2015, I was cast to play a gun enthusiast in a film called Dog Eat Dog, which was directed, it's a Paul Schrader film. If you don't know who he is, then I don't know what to do. He wrote Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. He's a fucking Hollywood icon, legend, filmmaker and writer. Brilliant. So I was in this movie. I got very fortunate. A friend of mine was friends with a producer, Mark, who's amazing, and I just I showed him my jumpsuit videos. This guy showed him I did a line of jumpsuits as a joke. It's a pretty wonderful thing. I'd done this video called The Good Life, where I was a homeless lunatic. That was somewhat popular for me. He liked the videos or whatever. I don't know. He let me audition for the film, and I thought, wow, that's really nice. I thought I would just show up and there would be like 100 people, and it would just be like I'd be in some cattle call or whatever. But I was there, and then holy shit, Paul Schrader walked in. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do an audition for. This is game time. And so I did the audition, and it went well. He was saying, I played a small part. I did have lines. I know a lot of people say they're in a movie, and then you find out that they were just an extra. And you're like,
you're in like $100 for the day.
Yeah, they were in the crowd scene. Like, who cares? Okay, great. That is amazing. Yes, you were. I met a guy who was in the crowd scene, and he told me he was in Scarface, and I was like, wow. I was like, what character did you play? I was like, do you remember the scene where all the Cubans were? I was like, oh, amazing. What was that like? Oh wow, that experience. Did you talk to Oliver Stone? Was he that he wrote it? Was it Brian De Palma? He directed that. Yeah. And so I did the audition, and it was he said, because I'm doing a little part, and he said we should get really good actors like this for all the other parts. I'm like, dude, fucking Paul Schrader said. I was like, what? I don't have to do anything else in life now. I've made it in one little month. Not really made it, but it was a nice. Why am I talking about that? What an asshole. I'm trying to set up the mullet. Fucking going on tangents, which that's what you do now you just start talking, and people might be right now. You might be in your bathroom smoking crack. You might be organizing your closet. You might be maybe you're hiking up a hill. Maybe you're in a room full of people trimming weed, chopping wood. Maybe maybe you're. I have a lot of things I talk about. The jobs I've done them all. So I got to be in this fucking amazing movie, which was there's a lot to talk about that. But the where did the mullet come from? I had a mullet when I was 16. That was in 87? Whatever. When Brian Bosworth was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, He was an Oklahoma Sooners linebacker. He had a mullet. Dude, it was fucking the most legendary thing ever. I love how bored. This is Jake. He's helping produce. I do diversity hiring. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's a ginger. It's the most underrepresented, appreciated minority.
Hard life. Thank you. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I have none. So.
This is it. He's peaking as a young whippersnapper.
An unpaid podcast.
Hey, calm down. We're gonna be making money. Send your money in. This is like a telephone. It's either like a verbal suicide note or like a fucking sad. Just send your money in. Yeah, it's the end of times. What are you gonna do with it? It's gonna be over with in a few months anyway. Send in your money so I can make it. I have this great song. I have a bunch of good ones, but this one, my next music video, it's about this guy with a sex doll, one of those very realistic ones called Silicone Wave. It's a beautiful song. I need to make the music video. I need to get these things done before the end of the world. Why? I don't know, but that's important. So where'd the mullet come from? Okay, back to the tangent on hand. So I'm in this movie, and I'm playing a gun enthusiast, and I'm like, God, the perfect look for this guy is to have a mullet. But obviously I didn't have enough time to grow a mullet, but that is where I got my hair cut as I had a mullet, but there was no real length on the back. But that's when I became obsessed with the idea of getting a mullet and then starting to think about the perfect midlife crisis look. Because I figured you have to get your look correct first. Now, how do you figure that out if you're out there trying to figure it out about your midlife crisis? You probably had to peak sometime in your, when you were between 16 to like 20 something. I probably figured that's as good as my life is going to get as a 16-year-old. I had a car, I had a mullet, I had my ear pierced. I was a legitimate jackass. Everything was a joke. Like the mullet was a joke, you know what I mean? Like no one took themselves seriously, which I don't know why anyone would anyway. But and it is the perfect haircut. A lot of people don't know this or have never thought about this, but it is perfect. And the reason why people who have mullets have tremendous amount of success and power, it's because it's the yin and yang. It's the long and the short. It's the light and the dark. It's the hot and the cold. It's a perfect balance. It's in physics. It's perfect. So you'll notice a lot of people that had mullets, they've done major contributions in life. You may have seen the movie Braveheart. Yeah, exactly. Who I'm a descendant of is the King of Scotland. That's right, I have fucking royal blood. I am worthy of your money, send it in now. What? I am related because of Ancestry.com. I'm related to all the important royal people. It's a Game of Thrones. At some point, there's going to be a full-on, there could be an apocalypse. I need some help. I don't know how many, maybe I'm 1 million people away from the throne, maybe a couple 100,000, I don't know, but I gotta knock off a lot of people so I can get into my Game of Thrones situation. I can then be the king of England. Boy, how sad would that be?
The world?
Yeah, the world.
Yeah.
The king of the world, which is, what else would you want to be? That seems like a lot of, I don't know if you'd want to, you're an immediate target. If you were like a royal, back then, in the older times, your life expectancy wasn't very long. Someone's wanting to always kill you. I wouldn't want. You want to be really wealthy and anonymous. That's the only way to go through life. Hopefully this is mildly entertaining to somebody to listen to. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, we got to get back. And I'm not drunk. I'm sober. Okay, so we're talking about the mullet and the powerful people that have had mullets. See, a lot of people don't even fucking know. Okay, when I was born, I'll do that first. When I was born, David Bowie had a mullet. Ziggy Stardust. He was also wearing a jumpsuit. We'll get into more of that later. Who else had a mullet? James Brown. During that period of time, Rod Stewart. I mean, that was the pinnacle of the mullet, was 1972. So there's a reason why for my midlife crisis, it made sense. I came into this world and that was what's going on. So you want to get back to your youth, which was 16. I got the mullet. So it's a perfect yin and yang. Now a lot of people don't know this. There's actually a conspiracy about the mullet. may have not realized this, but Jesus had a mullet. You know, they don't want people to know that, because if everyone had mullets, they would be people who are empowered. They're not going to be as easily oppressed. But right now is like the perfect time to have a mullet, because you can't get your hair cut because of this COVID thing. You grow out your hair in the back, get it short in the side, short in the top, because next thing you know, we're in Mad Max. This is like a post-apocalyptic times. What are you doing with a bare neck? You're getting slaughtered right away. But in this apocalyptic situation, you see a guy in front of you with a fucking mullet, you're not fucking with that person. You're like, right, you're that's going to be the leader of your gang, or you're just going to give him your wife, your resources, whatever. You just don't want any trouble. I mean, so figure it out. What do you want to be in this? Do you want to be a wolf that's that's surviving? Or do you want to be, what I mean? What? Choose your player, my friend. Is that your... That's
29 minutes.
Oh, that's good. So it's very important to nail this mullet conspiracy, and excuse me. Let's start here. I mean, it's important to understand the mullet conspiracy, which is a lot of people don't know, and there's a lot of people that don't want the masses to know about the mullet, and that's why there's a lot of negative. Like Joe Dirt was made by the CIA. The CIA made Joe Dirt to make people with mullets, to stereotype them as stupid, uneducated, morons. So, a lot of people wouldn't want a mullet. They funded Icky Breaky Heart. Billy Ray Cyrus is a CIA asset. That song was written for him. A lot of people don't know this. And what they did was they wanted like hillbilly, cracker, ignorant people with mullets, because they didn't want the masses to have mullets, because what it would do, a mullet will energetically make you in a position of power. Now what you do with that, it's a big responsibility. That's a lot of power to have, you're like, what are you talking about? Well, it's an afro, I came to the word, aphrodisiac, yeah, to women. I mean, it's like, a lot of men can't handle the power of that. You can't walk into a room as a guy and every single woman in there wants to have sex with you. Like a normal man can't deal with that. Those options, that pressure, like they'll explode if they're not. They're gonna make a lot of bad choices. They might get themselves in some. They might get the wrong woman in their life that will destroy them because they don't know what they're doing. It's like, you give someone who's never had any money, they win the lottery, and then like their life becomes a living hell because they don't, they go through all this money, they have all these bad people in their life, it's a bad scene. So that's the same thing happens with a mullet, is that you will have, it's like having a monsoon of wet pussy coming at you like a level 5 hurricane. And that's overwhelming, folks. Not everyone could deal with that much. Now, ladies, just calm the fuck down. I have a girlfriend. I get it. I know what you're interested in. What I will do is I will sell you that photo back there of me, self-portrait. I got to figure out how much it would cost to print it and ship it to you, but you can frame it, you can put it next to your bed, you can hump your pillow or whatever while staring at the photo. It's a good exercise, it's a good workout. It's you can, and while you're humping your pillow, you're staring at a photo of me, you can say, I'm having the time of my life. There's a lot. It's good for you to have. I'm a sex positive person. I believe in the positivity of sexuality, and I think you should express your sexuality. Unless you're doing like weird shit with animals or underage kids, then you should you should be shot. Okay, so but we're talking about important stuff here.
We're still on the mullet.
We're still on the mullet. Apparently I'm going on a tangent. So the thing about having what the CIA has done is they have purposely created a narrative to make it very disparaging. The Beastie Boys did a song called Mullet Head, which was actually the CIA was involved in that as well, was to make it into like these fucking these jackasses with mullets. It was basically the idea that only morons have mullets. So it's this whole bombardment of stuff that's happened. So let's look at some other examples. David Bowie became a superstar by playing a character called Ziggy Stardust, which was one of the first famous mullets in modern times. George Washington had a mullet, folks. First fucking president. What we learned in history. Who knows who the actual first president? I don't know what's going on, folks. I don't know what's going on in history. I don't know anything. Benjamin Franklin. There's been so many people in life that have had mullets. It's why do you think you'd see like this old, the old white people oppressing everybody with the wigs on? The wigs were mullets, folks. Short, long. Put it together. They understood how to dominate in life. You want to dominate in life, you got to get your energy right. It starts from the outside and works its way in. Long and short, hot and cold, big and small. It's a perfect yin and yang. So you need to get a mullet. And then when you get the mullet, this is going to help you navigate wherever's going on in your life. If you're trying to come up with the perfect midlife crisis, this is going to help you. Maybe not everybody you need to get a mullet for you, but a mullet definitely is great for survival, especially in the current state of things. I mean, I don't know. This election, it's getting really crazy. I'm not I don't know anything about politics. I do know.
Do you know who the president is?
Yeah, it's a game show host. It's You're Fired guy. It's fucking amazing. Donald Trump. Boy, what? Well, I mean, I believe that the politics thing is I kind of feel it's like professional wrestling. I felt that way a long time. This is all a big distraction. It's a lot of nonsense. So I don't really get too over the top. It is difficult because my mother, I love her. She's an amazing woman, but she'll watch CNN all day, and then she'll just she is freaked the fuck out. And I hope at some point that the masses, the populace, does like a class action lawsuit, and they end up suing all of the different news organizations like Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, all of them. They sue them for the mental anguish, like the amount of trauma that it's causing for people. And then you could also include like the Catholic Church. You could all these people, one big. Oh, look, people, you're constantly being fucked with non-stop. It's just, it's terrible. We live in it's almost like we're like the dumb kid in school being abused by these people that are constantly filling our heads with absolute insanity. I didn't need to go on that. I figure if you're going to vote, though, it's good to vote for who's the biggest clown. I think Trump was a more entertaining choice than Hillary Clinton. I think he's definitely given people a full-on megalomaniac, narcissistic circus carny barker. It's been amazing. I mean, it's the tweeting, the whole thing. It's put on a good show. Do you know that that they have done so well, CNN and MSNBC, by the hate Trump, the clickbait advertisement stuff, is their revenues are up 30%. So I don't think that he will lose, because I think it's too much of a financial loss for the people running the show. It is a circus, folks. And if you're out there screaming and yelling at someone on the other side and you're up in arms, the joke is on you. Okay? Fuck off. Shut up. Turn it off. You've had enough. Step away. People that are really super into whatever their political team is, they're usually something they're not doing in their life. You know what I mean? Their whole entire life is like a dumpster fire, and they're completely focused on the latest tweet or whatever, the latest conspiracy. It's all conspiracy. All of it is just people fucking with your head. These people don't care about you. They do not give a shit about you unless you are a person who owns everything. Which, even if you were worth like $30 million, you're a nobody. Isn't that crazy? There's a real, people go, what is my political point of view? It's the George Carlin joke, the real owners. It's that joke, and then you add in the Bill Hicks joke, which was so great. He says when you get elected, you go into, you're in the White House, and then you go into a meeting with all the leading industrialists, and they show you a JFK assassination, the video from an angle that nobody's seen, and then they go, are there any questions? And he just said the new president just goes, whatever my agenda is, whatever. So I don't know if you're freaking out over the politics madness. Just know that they won. There's some people that own everything, and we're just circus clowns here trying to. If all goes well, 6 months from now, I will be underground in a 100-foot bunker doing this show, and if I'm basically hoping some very wealthy person will maybe find me entertaining and will they'll adopt us. If you're a billionaire, like if you're Jeff Bezos' wife, could you become a fan of the show? I mean, imagine if you were getting divorced and you were now one of the wealthiest people. I mean, those are the people that would spend the money the most, fastest, because when you know what I mean, you didn't have to. I mean, she had to work for it because she was married to the guy. I'm sure he's wonderful. You have to talk nice about people. He's a little weird because he's got like one eye's bigger than the other. Do you ever notice that? Jeff Bezos?
I haven't looked at his face too hard.
It's almost like, I know that some people, like David Icke would talk about this, where people are like reptiles and stuff, and I thought it was kind of funny. But now I'm kind of like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos.
He looks like a lizard.
Yeah, and there's another person too, and Elon Musk. I think they all could be part human, part reptile alien, which would make life more sense and more, like if a lot of the conspiracies were actually true, it would be kind of amazing. Like, because we are living in a computer simulation. I hope you realize that. I'm the karma that you. Oh, the sirens! I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to tell people about the.
Well, I think what's really funny is that if they're watching you, you are their expression.
That's right. You manifested this, folks. I am a product that you created, that you need. Because a lot of people right now their worlds have been fucked. You might be in an apartment right now because you can't go anywhere, and you're there with your wife, your kids, you have no break from them, and you're looking for something to escape, so you're listening to this. And it is a train wreck. I don't know where I'm going. I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. I've already had to do the disclaimer, so if you want to cancel me, I have nothing going on to cancel, okay? I'm already pre-canceled.
Pre-approved on a credit card.
Yeah, I'm pre-canceled. I don't have anything going on. You're too young to be listening to this anyway. That's a cool thing about getting old, because you're like, to be like I don't feel like I'm old, but I can't wait to be like an old man if there's still a world, because then you can just be crazy. Because you're just, well, not anymore, because now it's scary out there. I came to Los Angeles to play, the weird characters in movies. I'm basically a white exploitation actor. I play like, pathetic white people. It's important now. I never really thought about, your race or something. You know how hard it is to have all this white privilege and have accomplished basically nothing? That's what I'm dealing with. That's the frustration. That's why the white male suicide rate is so high, is because there's a lot of people that can't handle all the privilege of being a white person in America, so they have to kill themselves. They're just like, fuck. I think there's some truth to that. I think that people get to the point in their life and it has not worked out. I think the problem is telling people that things are gonna work out, they're amazing, they're talented. See, the best thing that happened to me was that I had, I didn't fit in, I had all these learning disabilities, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I knew that there was no future for me. Like I said earlier, I have chronic anxiety and chronic depression, which I was diagnosed with, which means that I have no hope and I can't stop thinking about it. It's true. I have no hope and I can't stop thinking about it. My life has basically been a continuous uncomfortable moment. I've been living a dark comedy my entire life. That's what's going on here. I have this disorder. There's a disorder that starts with an M. I'm sensitive to sound.
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
Look that up. That's what I have. But this is a disorder. When someone eats with their mouth open, and they make that noise, it makes me so angry that I want to.
Misophonia.
Misophonia?
Misophonia.
Misophonia. Yeah, I can't pronounce anything anyway. But so I have this disorder, and this has manifested this shapes my entire existence of the many things wrong with me. and that's what you do now to fit in. You have to tell people your badge of tragedy, all your problems. That's the thing to do. So what it is that when somebody eats their mouth open, it makes me so uncomfortable. It causes rage. And it makes me I've mimicked people back to themselves at a restaurant. Someone's like, and I'll look at them and go, like really obnoxiously, and I can't control it. Now this is embarrassing to get this irate over something that's so insignificant. And to me, it's like the greatest offense ever. It's as if they took like a baby seal and clubbed it to death. It's like that level of like, what the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you? You savage, you Neanderthal. You're an abomination of humanity. Eating with your mouth open like that. Have some self-respect. Like I've dated some amazing women, and if I'm with them and they're eating with their mouth open, that's it. I had a girlfriend one time, and I was trying. She was amazing, but I couldn't get her to. And how do you tell someone that? That's the most impossible thing to do, is to tell someone not to eat with their mouth. Like if you eat with your mouth, just because that sound is so. So this is the thing. So that personality, that sensitivity. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an alcoholic addict. So these people that have this problem are usually they're creative people because they're highly sensitive. Everything's loud. It's.
You're an empath too.
Yes, all of that. I have absorbed your nightmares, so stay away from me. You fucking emotional vampire, psychic vampire lunatics. Get the fuck away. I see you coming and I try to avoid you. Why do you think I have all the tattoos? Why do you think I look like a serial killer? To avoid you. Yeah, I know who the fuck you are. Get away. I carry around holy water. I will throw it on you. Fucking burn you, you fucking vampires. I have stakes. I will fucking hammer one right in your heart. Fucking all over. The city's full of them. The city's full of fucking vampire, lunatics, psychopath, Satanist worshiping, people that believe that they're all radical maniacs, It's not easy. I came here to help tell stories, play pathetic, odd, weird people. Apparently, I saw some QAnon conspiracy stuff. Apparently, the only way I could have made it in this town is if I was involved in some cult, killing babies and drinking their blood. I don't want to be successful that bad. I would, not that into it, you know what I mean? Really don't, I'm not, wow. That's fucking, whoa, that's dark. I don't know if that's real, but I'm sure it is. I know that there are cults that do horrible stuff. I don't think that everyone in Hollywood that's successful is doing that. That'd be a little much. There's a lot of actually decent people. You'd be surprised, but not really anymore. I don't know.
Well, they're the C's and the B's. The
C's and the B's. Yeah, there's a lot of talented people you've never heard of and never will. I don't. When I first came out here, I never really wanted to be like really super famous person. I just wanted to make a living. I thought that would be the worst nightmare ever. Is weirdos coming up to you, strangers. I've had little moments of success. I'll get into that. People have recognized me from some of the things I've done, which means nothing. But the only reason I'm saying this is because they always have the same reaction when they meet me. They're completely let down. Mm. They are so unimpressed. They thought I would be something fascinating. I would be interesting. But they're let down. They think I'm a real life lunatic, and then they meet me and they're just like, "You're like my fucking neighbor. Like you're not that interesting."
Yeah.
In real life, I'm not. I'm pretty fucking boring, actually. That's why I have the hair. That's why I have done all the videos and all this stuff. That's what you do when you're boring. You pretend like you're crazy. That you just got behind the curtain. I was gonna talk about something.
You were on a.
Some more tangents.
We brought up that one cult, and then you were talking about the mullet, and you were talking about white privilege. That was good.
Oh, the white privilege. It's difficult having white privilege and never become very successful. It's really difficult. It's what I would think would be interesting to do is if you were like hypothetical. Let's say your father was like Jeffrey Epstein.
Good start.
Your dad is Jeffrey Epstein before he's gone down. You know what I mean? He's basically this guy who has dirt on everybody, blackmailing them, unbelievable wealth, probably laundered who knows how much money, and that's your dad. Then what you could do is you could come to Hollywood, and you could be like your dad. You could be a Hollywood executive. Like if I could make myself a Hollywood executive because my dad knows everyone, that these powerful people, because he has videos of them doing God knows what terrible stuff. And then what I would do, because this is what pisses me off. A lot of people are in positions of power and they're just so fucking boring. I would do some television shows because I'd be an executive. And so like right now would be a great time to do a television show where you could take, well they go on about that white privilege stuff. I think it'd be fun if they took a lot of kids that are minorities, that are parents or billionaires, superstars or whatever, and then it's a reality show where they take these kids to like, you know, like they did the movie Deliverance, like up in the Appalachian Mountains, somewhere where the people, like they've never had running water. These like really uneducated, unfortunate, very, very poor generations of poor forever white people, and then they could just go in there, like they have all graduated from Ivy League schools and stuff, and then they could berate them on how pathetic they are. That would be one of the shows. Like, it just let them know about how their white privilege, how they have failed. You have all this privilege, and this is what you've done with it. That's the show. Just very fortunate, successful people that have it has to be that their parents or grandparents have become very successful, and then, you know what I mean? Like they're like, because there's nothing better than like, especially if it's like like if your grandfather made the money, it's like the one generation makes all the money. The second one kind of is like fun, crazy, there's someone responsible, and then the third generation that spends it all. So that's what we want. We want that level of just complete no responsibility, which is filled in all these rehabs, or like third generation mega wealth that will just burn it all to the ground. Like, and that right there, should those people that have never ever had a job in their life or never will work a job in their life, telling people that are in abject poverty, they've never even been to a dentist, never seen a television, don't even know what running water is, and they come in there and let them fucking have it. Let them know about how they've been fucking oppressing everybody. Yeah. They don't even know how to speak, and it's terrible. Poverty is terrible, and I'm trying to avoid that. So that's why you can go to the Patreon, and you can sign up and become. There's 3 tiers. There's like, we'll figure it out. VIP. I'll come up with some names for it, but you should subscribe every month. You're giving money, and if you're a generous, wealthy person, give money, send it to me, and do that while you're not giving money to your kids, and let them know why. You know, I'd rather give my money to this lunatic than you see, the problem is you've told your kids that they matter and they're going to be something. That's why they're out there burning stuff down right now, because they got out there in the real world and realized, no, you don't matter and no one does care about you. And that's a frustrating moment. See, the thing is, I went through that frustration when I was first experience in school. I went to a Catholic school, and I was so crazy as a kid. My mother was like, get him out of the house. And so I was like the youngest kid. I was in school a year to I could have gone like a year later, but I mean, my mother was just, maybe this will help get him out of the house, put him in this school. I was also a middle child, which is terrible. So I went to Catholic school, and the first grade teacher in Catholic school is usually like a legitimate demon from hell. And if you're, the one thing that's great about being Catholic is you kind of learn at a really young age that it is just a full-on presentation. That it's, that you figure out Santa Claus isn't real, then you're able to figure out that Jesus isn't real, and these people are they are a real satanic cult of fucking hell and fire, and it's scary. And if you don't know that, just go to your church, Catholic church. They put on a hell of a show. It's a great art direction. Probably second to the Nazi Party. Nazi Party was probably the best art direction. I mean, like,
it's quick.
Yeah, it was intense. It's like you can't. I mean, it's wow. But the Catholic Church definitely has. I mean, you're as a child. There's this guy that's been the Son of God. He's been sacrificed. He's got like a big gouge in him. He's nailed to a cross. And you have like a little tiny child, and you're like, there's God, and God is love. And then he had his son here, and what we did was because you're a sinner, they sacrificed him. They murdered him. And how they did that, they made him carry this cross this thing. My friend was whipping him through the streets, and then they nailed it to him, and that's how he died, because God is love. I mean, it's a pretty good psychological torture. And then what you do is you kind of let these kids know that you're going to burn in hell for the rest of eternity. And you're a sinner. You were born a sinner. And you need to go into that confession booth and tell this fucking creepy guy behind the thing that's probably touching himself how bad you are. And that's a church, folks. Like, what is going on here? You know, it's creepy. And the last pope was great, because he did look like the Star Wars. I'm gonna get killed at this podcast. So he was great, because he looked like he could have been in the Star Wars movie. You know, he was like the emperor.
The last pope?
No, not the current one. The last one. Yeah, with this dark circles under his eyes. God, that guy was scary. I just want to I'm hoping that this podcast can become so successful, and there's still life on Earth, that I can buy a Pope Mobile.
Oh, yeah.
That's my dream, is a Pope Mobile where I'd have a driver who would be a 7-foot tall trans. My favorite is, I'm a big fan of transgenders, but I want one that's like 7 foot tall. It looks like it could be a linebacker for like the Dallas Cowboys. Mm. Because how about a bodyguard that's a transgender? That scene where the bodyguard is beating the shit out of somebody and it's a transgender. That'd be the best thing ever. Mm. That'd be my bodyguard. I'd have I want to be so wealthy and successful that I have with me at all times. I have interpreter, doing sign language, because who knows if someone's wants to overhear what I'm saying. At least they'll have a person signing. I definitely, and then I want to have a person that's doing an impromptu dancer that's interpreting what I'm saying and putting it to dance. That's what really bothers me about people that are extremely wealthy, because they're just so boring. I would have been one of the greatest eccentric lunatics if I could have had like a Jeff Bezos father. And I think you should adopt me, Mr. Bezos. Because I don't know what you're doing, but it looks really boring. We got to get you in better outfits, and I don't get it. You know what I mean? If you got all this money, you better do something. Especially when everyone has like never been so poor. Maybe you should get out there on some, golden 18-wheeler. I mean, I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't that guy just he could end homelessness? He could just write a check, right? I don't know. I don't know what people do when they have all this money and power. I think it's the idea is you want to get rid of the most of the population is kind of the game plan. You gotta have like a depopulation program. I'm just hoping that I can catch that, get through the apocalypse, because I want to be here when the aliens, the higher beings, get rid of all the demons from hell that seem to be running the planet, and then we can transcend into what's really going on here, heaven, somewhere in space, I imagine. Yeah. What's this guy talking about? This guy's really going for it.
Mixing astronomy with theology.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's going on. Well, the one thing that's been great about all this is everyone should have an inner nihilist. My inner nihilist is, I call it clockwork tangerine. And I do appreciate the rioting and all these. My inner nihilist does. It really appreciates the absolute fucking irrational insanity. There's something about people at a restaurant and then a bunch of people surrounding them just screaming at them, there's something, that my nihilist inside's yeah, that's solving all your problems right there. I mean, that's what's going on. People are outraged. And one thing I think the problem is that they're outraged, everyone's outraged at the same stuff. I think that you need to figure out your niche. Your outrage niche. And my girlfriend was wanting to go camping, and I thought, well, that might not be very, this super woke culture, that might not be sensitive to people that are like the massive new homeless population, which is horrific here in Los Angeles. So I figure if we're going camping, we're basically mocking people that are now become professional campers. So I was thinking maybe I should go to campsites and just start berating people that are there mocking homeless people, whether they know they're doing it or not. They're appropriating their camping culture. I don't even know what you would call that, but it's a camping appropriation.
It's not cultural.
Yeah, it's camping. Camping appropriation. It's not, if you're out there and you're camping right now, maybe think twice about it. You know what I mean? Maybe hold off on the camping because you are, you're basically, you're mocking people that are homeless, and it's not right. And maybe you should take your tent and give it to someone who's newly homeless. You should take your camping gear and then donate it. That's what you should do. Yeah, that's where it's at, folks. People got to help each other. It's a pretty difficult time. What's interesting? I know recently there was the Burning Man. Burning Man. My girlfriend is I guess she's a burner, which is. My girlfriend is one of the most amazing women I've ever met. She's highly intelligent, brilliant. What she's doing with me is kind of like, when you are really a successful, brilliant woman, what you want to do is you want to have a boyfriend who is kind of like a entertaining special needs type thing. You know what I mean? I've lucked into that situation, folks, and that's the role you want to be if you're like me. Is you need to have someone who knows how to do things. It's you have this kind of like man-child lunatic that you have the boyfriend. That's where it's at. But the one thing that she's into, which I'm just a little bit like, I don't know, and that's the Burning Man thing. So I went to Burning Man with her last year, and it was, I'm not someone that would necessarily see Burning Man as something that I'd be into, because I'm a middle-aged person. I've already done all the stuff. I don't want to go to some filthy, place and everyone's on drugs. When I was young and not sober, it makes sense. But then when you become, like, I pretend like I'm almost an adult, the last thing I want to do is be hot, sweaty, uncomfortable, and being forced to listen to some complete, lunatic that's fucked up on drugs, breaking down how they're going to franchise their future headshot business. You're in these trapped and like held hostage by some mental rapist, and you can't get out of there. And everyone's in some difficult costume, and you're acting like you're into it. And I know that people are into the DJ culture. It's a little bit came after my time. I'm an old person. I was into people playing instruments and stuff. I don't get things anymore. I'm like that old guy. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm an old person. I get it. It's just not. Okay, so we go to Burning Man, and we're in this big, huge, because my girlfriend does things first class, thank God. And we're in this massive, big, huge, like, bus thing, and I'm driving it, which is hilarious. I'm driving all the way there, which we said next time we were going to make sure it was just there for us. And there's probably 6 inches on each side as I'm driving this vehicle. And I'm driving as fast as I can.
What do you mean 6 inches? 6
Like,
inches of space.
Yeah, space from running off the road. I mean, the chances that I got us there and back was amazing, because there were a couple moments. I don't know if she knew. I almost, took the thing off the road. I mean, and I'm going as fast as the thing goes the whole time, because that's how I roll. I have a fucking mullet. What do you expect? Calm the fuck down. Sorry for the language for the 2 people that would be worried about that, or the 3 people that are listening to this. So we get to Burning Man, and she's there with some people that have had a camp forever. There's a whole culture, and these people are so into it, and it's difficult when you're not into something but you're participating. I'm open-minded. I'll participate. I'll do whatever, but I'm being supportive. They're into it. I get it. You got your costumes. You got your thing. You run around. But there's a lot to take in. It's as far as people watching, you definitely see a lot of people. I mean, you see them. Everything about them. A lot of naked people. A lot of people that are probably registered sex offenders run around. I mean, you get people just out of their minds on whatever. The funny thing is our camp where we were was right next to the loudest stage DJ show, whatever. We were probably the loudest place you could possibly have your thing. Now, I'm at a point in my life where at nighttime I'll actually want to sleep. I know that sounds crazy, but I know I'm just programmed that way. That's what happens when you get to be this awesome. You've done it. I've been up all night. I've been up for days. I've done the whole thing. Now I'm there. I'm doing it. You know, I can only stay up so late. You know that, but that thing goes on all night long. The cool experience was that if I was ever, if you were mistakenly, thought that you were a terrorist and you were then went to what's that place? That they send the terrorists to?
Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, Guantanamo Bay, Abu Ghraib, is that what it's called? I don't even know how you say it. Where they had those wonderful pictures, kind of like these poor people being tortured. Oh God, that was terrible. Sign up for that, huh? Ugh. What a day at work that is, torturing these people. Some taxi cab driver thinks you look, I don't know, it's terrible. So the thing is that if you were to be tortured, I know that they play crazy music and they keep them up all night. So the amazing thing was that the music was so loud that it would vibrate the entire the music, it was, and it's not really music, it's like if an alien invasion was happening, this is what it would be like. Just crazy noises, and that's so great. I started to sound like I'm like an 80-year-old man. It's so wonderful. And it was like being abused. It was just being abused, so I'm on no sleep. God, it's hot. Then we would go to you can go to a 12-step sober meeting thing, and there's people there that are naked and weird, and which I love crazy, I'm into it. There was one time we were riding the bikes back, which is fun to have a bike. You're riding an electric bike or all over the place. I love it. And the people watching aspect about Burning Man was amazing. So now I'm driving, I went down the wrong path, and I've never seen so many naked men in my life. I must have rode past
on a bicycle.
Yeah, everyone's they had a whole, I'm on a bicycle and they're coming the way, and there might have been a couple hundred of them. All naked. Now, I didn't know this about myself, but I am unable to when someone in front of me is naked, doesn't matter what they are, I look at their I don't know, it's impossible not to. I don't want to see 100 dicks coming at me. You know what I mean? I can appreciate a nice cock, I guess. Yeah, we can appreciate that. It's not something it's not on the menu. I'm not actively seeking out. Oh man, that was intense. I was like, this is gonna leave a scar. I can't get this out of my head. And this one guy had, I don't know if he had I think they put something in their balls to make them extra big. I don't know if this guy had a disorder or whatever, but this is scarring. You know what I mean? This is like beyond. That was one of my Burning Man experiences. I wish that didn't happen. I like the fact that I like people naked. I think it's great. I think the clothes thing is like, who gives a shit? But then you say that, then you're in a situation where that is, and it's never the people that you want to see naked. That's always a difficult thing to think about if you're thinking about being naked. I guess another place where people are naked is in the gym. I'll talk about that more some other time, but the only thing I ever spent money on was I would be an executive member at a fancy gym. And in those gyms, there's the highest level of comfortability a person can have is like a 70-year-old man. And they basically linger around in the gym naked all day long. And they, and men's balls, they keep dropping. You know what I mean? They drop. And their goal is like, you've never seen anybody so comfortable in their life as like a 75-year-old naked guy rolling around like the equinox on Sepulveda. It's just unbelievable. That's the highest level of comfortability you can ever aspire to be, is that. But then I was thinking, I thought about this a long time ago, and I wanted to do this as like a sitcom. And this is, I opened stuff up, I never finished it, about the idea if my dad was Jeffrey Epstein. Another show I would have done is, and I want to do this like 10 years ago, guy gets a boob job. He's kind of a creepy guy, middle-aged, lives at home with his parents or whatever, gets a boob job for the sole reason, just to hang out in the women's locker room. That's a sitcom I wanted to do. You know, that would be, I think, a great show. And now it's even timely because
it was before too.
Yeah, it was before like the transgender explosion, which I think it's great if you want to be. I hope that maybe someday they would be like you could switch your race. You could become, because when I was a kid, I lived in a small town in western Kansas, and all of my heroes, like Michael Jordan, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. I would stay up Saturday Night Live to watch Eddie Murphy. I went and saw Eddie Murphy when I was a little kid, doing stand-up, and that's when I thought I wanted to be a comedian. But like, this guy is standing in front of all of these people and giving all of these strangers joy. That's like the most beautiful thing you could do, you know. And all my heroes that were sports superstars. Michael Jackson was big when I was a little kid. If I was like, I know that now they have like 9 or 10-year-olds that they're trying to have change their genders. If I was 9 at 10 and you told me that I could be a black man in a heartbeat, I would be. Now, I don't think that would have been a very difficult decision as I got older, because I'm somewhat of a jackass, and some people, if you're white, you might not realize this. This is the one thing about the privilege thing I don't think a lot of white people understand. Now, you know about this in Los Angeles. If you're a black guy and you're driving through Beverly Hills, let's say, you probably just get pulled over for being black. So that's why then you get old enough to realize, no, I don't think I would want to have that, you know? I mean, I get pulled over because and it makes sense because I look like a serial killer, a lunatic. I would pull me over too.
Driving a police car.
Yeah, I do. I have a black on black police car, and I have this so that I can finally get the respect I deserve on the road, so no one's honking at me, people wave me and let me in traffic. Unfortunately now, I don't, my cop car, it seems to be a little bit on the dangerous side now. And now I don't know if now people are just shooting cops in their car, which I don't know if that's getting crazy. And another thing about me driving my cop car, you'd either think that I was a legitimate serial killer or like an undercover cop. You don't know what I was. You just knew that I was possibly a lunatic, and that was a way for me to survive. So if you're a kid out there and you're trying to figure out how to get through life, better to present yourself as a lunatic. I mean, obviously don't be a real lunatic, but present yourself. You know, they say they present as something. They say someone presents as like they might present gay, or they present.
But
like,
for identification purposes, like
they present
sexual identity.
They present as something. I don't know. I'm not clear with what all this stuff is. I'm all about whatever you want to be. Fine. You know, I know that I'm not all human. I'm part demigod. And I think people should address me as that. Your Majesty, demigod. I don't know. People don't seem to, they don't seem to. How do you say this? It would be misgender. It would be misidentifying me as a human, I guess you would say. They're not addressing me as Your Royal Highness or Your Majesty, because you could just start giving yourself titles, which would be great. But yeah, it is difficult. I think the most I was fascinated when I first moved to Los Angeles. I've never seen a transgender in my life, and I thought that was fucking amazing. I came from Kansas, and I worked at the Formosa Cafe. I've had a bunch of jobs. I worked there one night a week doing like the door, and this was like in 1998, that summer, or 99, maybe it was. I had a motorcycle, and I would leave, and there used to be like a row of transgenders I guess you'd call them ladies of the evening, and I was so stupid. I thought they were trying to trick people into thinking. I thought they were trying to trick men into picking them up as if they didn't know. And I would drive past there just staring, like trying to process, there was this one guy, he looked like a linebacker for Nebraska, and he's this white guy, and and it looked like he was being being hazed or something to be in some fraternity. I was like, what is going on? I mean, to me, it's like, how fucking frustrating. You inside feel that you are a woman, but then you have the body that is the opposite of what a woman would be. Like, you have a very pronounced forehead, but with a lot of money, you could actually, you could transform yourself, which is, I mean, I'm sure that guy knows, probably the woman is best looking thing you've ever seen, But what, you think you have a problem? How about, your whole sexual identity is you're in the wrong body. I think I have problems by being a middle-aged white man failure who squandered all of his privilege into absolute nonsense. I don't have it that bad. I mean, if I was trying to be a woman looking like me, God forbid that would be a rough situation. I would no options whatsoever. However, I was dreamy when I was younger. So handsome.
I think it's a testament to how straight you are that confused you, though. Like when you're driving, you're like, what is this trickery about? But
well, and then I appreciate it. I mean, I'm pretty much straight,
But not just the fact that never, like, you actually thought they were trying to trick versus that was.
I didn't even know that guys were. I wouldn't know that guys were into that. Which then I later learned that they're into that. I thought, well, that's amazing. This is a very advanced sexual preference. I mean, I think when you're a sexual connoisseur, you're going to need to. Your palate is going to get more sophisticated. So you're going to be open to more different opportunities, and probably who's going to do a better job sexually. This person's probably going to want it more. You know what I mean? They're going for it, which I respect. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of women that have put no energy at all in like trying to maybe be a sexually attractive being, which is not. I understand it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but think about this. Think about how much work this person's putting into making themselves physically attractive to a man. So you gotta realize they're probably good at sex.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So if you're a guy, if you're an incel, which I respect, that's where you need to go, my friend. You need to get into, broadening your opportunities for sexual excitement. Maybe get a transgendered girlfriend would be a good idea.
For the audience, will you go into what an incel is?
Oh, I learned about, my girlfriend talked about this. It's an involuntary celibate. Like, they don't want to be celibate, but because they haven't figured it out yet, or they haven't met the right girl, just hasn't worked out yet. Which I understand. I think it's finding a. I think the one thing that they will maybe realize that you might be better off being an incel, an involuntary celibate, because you have to probably maybe learn all the experiences of men whose lives have been utterly destroyed by a woman. That's probably. I used to go to this. I was sober, so I used to go to this AA meeting. It was like a men's stag meeting, and I would just go in there and I would listen to all these men who have had some of the most horrific life stories ever because they married a lunatic. And remember, these people are lunatics themselves. So it's just an unfortunate situation. But sitting in these meetings and hearing these guys talk about this, it kept me never wanting to get married and have kids. So it's worked out well for me, because right now if I had some little kids and not being able to do much with my white privilege and being a failure, and then having a wife who's like, I married the wrong guy, and then I have kids looking at me like my dad's a loser. It's a lot I would have been a bad mistake. I would have been better off being an incel and not having to deal with that, bad choices. But I think you guys are gonna be okay. I think with AI and these sex dolls and this stuff, you're gonna be better off going your own way. You're not gonna have to waste any money on trying to press a girl. You can focus on becoming the best guy you are at something. It's a pretty difficult thing when you're young and you feel left out. That's not good. But I think that the thing is to lower your standards. I think a lot of people are usually miserable because their expectations are way too delusional. I could be, for example, I could be an incel if my only person I wanted to have sex with was, let's say, like the most sought after woman on the planet. Let's say like I don't know, Victoria's Secret models or something. They were amazing when I was younger. And if, let's say, the only way I was ever going to have a sexual situation would have been one of those girls, I would still be a virgin today. But the reality is, if you're a guy, anyone that wants to have sex with you, you should probably go for it. Even if it's like a guy who's like 65 years old with bad breath, you should probably just have the experience. What?
I'm not for it, man.
Jesus, that's terrible. How long have we been going?
This time, 20 minutes.
Folks, we're gonna. If you want to, have an ad here on the show, we can do that for you. You want to donate, you want to participate, you want to get in on the Jeff Hilliard show crowd to advertise your product. I will advertise a product I've been using since I have the chronic anxiety, PTSD, because I'm a barely functioning person because my head is just madness. I got turned on to this VR app called trip.com, TRIPP.com, and it's like meditation meets like a video game, and what it's doing is been fixing my head, my frontal lobe damage from being dropped on my head really hard. Being the life of having no hope and constantly thinking about it. What this meditation app does has been brilliant. It's really helped me out. Unbelievable. I'm not joking. It's something that, like, if you find yourself out in the world screaming and yelling at people, and people are making videos of you and labeling you like a Karen or whatever is going on, try Trip. This would help you. Because the problem in life, if you're reacting to life, like if something's going on and you can't respond to it, but you're reacting to it with such madness, and if you're out, let's say like right now, you're starting a forest on fire because of something you're upset with, you should get the Trip app and stuff, because or if you're shooting police officers in their car, you'd be a great person to try Trip. To maybe you could have better impulse reaction. You would be able to maybe have a pause before doing something that might cause you a lot of problems in the future. So you're not going to react really unproportionately crazy. Which I kind of think if the entire world was doing this, especially the United States, we wouldn't have so much insanity. Which I don't blame you, because I think the media is pumping us with so much craziness, and everything from the cell phone and the people comparing themselves to one another. I hope if you're out there and you are at the end of your rope, and that's why you're listening to this, because you're like, at least my life isn't as fucking ridiculous as this jackass. Then hopefully that's what you're supposed to do in life. If you can help other people. If you can make other people feel okay about themselves, my recommendation is to get a mullet. It's a lot of power to deal with, and to understand the conspiracy behind it. Now, once you have this mullet, you'll be able to, just watch Braveheart. Look what that guy did with his mullet. Amazing. You could take on the English empire and bring it to its knees. Gandhi had a mullet. There's not a lot. The CIA took the photos of him and they photoshopped his mullet out of it, but he took down the English empire. A lot of people didn't know that, but that's what the Revolutionary War, all the soldiers had mullets, and that's how they were able to beat. It's all about beating the British, the English empire. There's a lot more stuff. I kind of just went all over the place. I think that's a lot to take in. What the hell did I just listen to? Thank you, folks, for checking out the Jeff Hilliard Show, episode number 1. Good night, good day, good afternoon. See us next week.